Hello, everybody. Hope you are having a good day. We're going to do a quick warm up to practice our quadrilateral work yesterday on proving that it's a parallelogram. So go ahead and plug in for X and Y to prove that this is a parallelogram. All right, so now we're going to look at a few different types of quadrilaterals, specifically rectangles, rhombuses, and squares. And we're going to talk about the different rules that make them what they are, and then how we can use those rules to find side lengths. Okay, so a rectangle has 4 right angles. So each of the corners is a right angle, which means it's 90 degrees. It has 2 sets of parallel lines. So the vertical and the horizontal are parallel. And it has congruent diagonals. If we were going to draw the diagonals in there, they would be equal to each other. So that is what is specific about a rectangle. Okay, specific about a rhombus. Okay, it does look like a kite, but it's different than a kite. It's more like a diamond. Okay, it has 4 congruent sides, so all 4 sides are equal to each other. The diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular, which means they come together at 90-degree angles because that is perpendicular. And the diagonals also bisect a pair of opposite angles. So these are your opposite angles, angle A and C. That diagonal bisects them, which means it cuts them in half. Same with DB, it cuts those angles in half. Okay? And then lastly, squares, 4 congruent sides, 4 congruent angles, 4 right angles, okay? And obviously the diagonals are going to be congruent. Everything about a square is congruent, okay? So we're going to use this information to be able to find side lengths, okay? So here's our first example, and I am actually going to pull up this right here. Let me move it to the side just a little bit so we can get our information. All right, so it tells us that AD is 7.5 centimeters. And it tells us that DC is 10 centimeters. So I'm just going to use that same information to fill in all the parts that I have. Okay. And this question is asking us to actually find DB. So we're actually looking for this right here. So we know based on our units before or in second trimester that this right here is a right triangle. And a right triangle, we can find this, which is called the hypotenuse, right? This right here is the hypotenuse, and we can find that through Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we know we can use that because this is a right angle and we have 2 legs and we're looking for the hypotenuse. So we're just going to plug in 10 squared plus 7.5 squared equals c squared. 10 squared obviously is 100. 7.5 squared is 56.25. So we're going to add that together. 156.25 equals c squared. And remember, to undo a square is a square root. So we are going to square root 156.25. And we get that c is equal to 12.5 centimeters. So that means that this right here is 12.5, this entire length. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys try the same thing. So let me make this a little bit bigger. You're going to use that exact same rule to be able to figure this out. So label your sides you need, and then use Pythagorean theorem to find our hypotenuse or our diagonal. All right, so now we're going to use some angle information. Okay, so this should say rectangle. Let's see if I get out of here and move this. There we go, rectangle. So we are going to be finding the measure in each from this rectangle. Okay, and to do that, we need to remember that we said that rectangles all have right angles, right? So we're going to use that information to be able to finish this problem. Let me go ahead and pull this up. So we know that each of these have to be right angles. So I'm just going to say angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, and angle 5. Okay? Because those are the ones we're searching for. And I'm going to start with the easiest ones, which are 3 and 5, because I know that those are 90-degree angles, right? We know that each of our corners is a 90-degree angle. So now we have to figure out, well, 4 is going to be 90 minus 61, which is 29. And then because it just froze. Because they are on a diagonal, that means that these are opposite interior angles, which means 2 is the same as 61 and 1 is the same as 4, which is 29. And that is how you finish filling in the angle measures for a rectangle. Okay? So now we're going to be looking at this in a manner of needing to actually do some solving. Okay, so we're going to have to find some variables first, plug those variables in to find the side links, and then kind of work from there. All right, so let me pull up this, and we're going to first be looking at figuring out what AB is equal to. And the first thing you should notice on this is that this is a rhombus. Okay? And remember, our rules for rhombus mean that all sides are equal. So that means that this side and this side are equal to each other. 4x plus 15 is equal to 7x plus 2. And so now we can figure out how to solve for x. I'm going to subtract 4x. 15 is going to be 3x plus 2. I am going to subtract 2. Okay. And so now we're going to end up with dividing by 3, and we're going to end up with a decimal answer, which is going to be, we'll just say 4.3. Okay. 4.3 is what we get. Sorry, I should zoom out just a little bit. All right, but that is x, and we need to actually find the side links. So that means we need to take x and we need to plug it back in. And it doesn't matter which side you plug it in for, because in a rhombus, all the sides are the same. So once you plug it in for one, it will be the same for all of them. So I'm just going to plug it into this 7x plus 2. So I'm just replacing x with this value right here. 7 times 4.3 plus 2 is going to give me 32.1. So that is the same on this side. So this side right here, all sides are 32.1. Okay, all sides are 32.1. Okay, so now we're going to start looking at the angle part of it and being able to figure that out. So I just kind of want to go back in here and refresh your brain on what that means. So we know that every interior part of this diagonal is intersecting at a 90-degree angle, which means that this right here, this 12y, is going to be a 90-degree angle. So knowing that means that 12y has to be equal to 90. If I divide by 12, I say that y is equal to 7.5. So now to be able to find this angle of ABC, we're going to have to figure out this one first, and then by plugging in y, and then timesing it by 2 so that we can get an entire angle. So we would say 4 times 7.5 minus 1, which is 29. And we would times it by 2, which is 58. So this degree right here is 58 degrees. That angle right there, 58 degrees. Okay? All right. So we're going to do a little bit of practice. Okay, the first one we're going to practice on is going to be this one. This again is a rhombus, right? So go ahead and use our information that we know about angles to be able to fill in the missing angles here. All right, and then lastly, knowing what we know about side lengths of rhombuses being the same, go ahead and solve for y. Alrighty, so you guys have a 3-question exit ticket you need to work on. There needs to be a score of a 3 out of 3 in order for you to get credit on it. If you miss any of them, just go back and correct them so that you can get them correct. And if you have any questions on anything that we've been doing, go ahead and shoot me an email or a text so that I can answer them for you. Have a fantastic day.